Hello, welcome to the Nerdy Folks Podcast, a conversation about the nerdy things we love and the things that matter most. My name is Matthew Seipel Anderson. I'm the host of the show and chaplain to the nerd community. Today I'm joined by my co-host, Katie Seipel Anderson.
Hello, everybody. Very excited to be back podcasting with all of you.
We moved, and it took a while.
Yeah, and it was kind of crazy ahead of time, so Matt did a couple episodes himself. It's a lot of work.
We taped a lot of boxes, but Katie was amazing. She came up with a color-coded scheme for our boxes and color-coded the floors and labeled the rooms.
The different floors on the home. I didn't actually color code literal floors, but the different areas of the house.
Yes.
We had lots of amazing help.
Lots of amazing help. If you're listening and you helped us, thank you. Can't thank you enough. It was amazing. Let's have a round of applause.
Thank you, everyone who helped us. And now we are so excited to be back and able to talk about Rings of Power Season 2. Matt's kind of almost jumping around in his little chair over there because he's so excited about this.
I'm not going to lie. I'm an unashamed fanboy of Rings of Power, especially Season 2. I've really enjoyed it.
He's glowing about it. I solidly like it. I give it a thumbs up. I'm pretty sure Matt gives it 2 thumbs up, though.
Dose thumbs up.
I think if he had 3 thumbs, he might even give it 3 thumbs up.
2 thumbs and a big toe. Oh, yeah. Well, I would say that Amazon did not hold back when it came to Season 2. They gave us not 1, not 2, but 3 episodes right out of the chute, and it was a lot. And so, man, I started thinking about how to podcast about this, and it's it was a lot of stuff to digest, and like Katie said, we had just moved, so
the good news is we get to talk about this more than once.
Oh, yeah, we'll be back.
There's quite a bit here for us to be able to talk about.
And so today we thought we would just hit a few of the themes that have jumped out so far. And there are so many themes and so many storylines. I was going through the different characters and I was like, wow, Season 1 really put together a great foundation for Season 2 to really pick up steam and start to move faster. I know some people complained that Season 1 was a little slow-paced. And maybe it was, but I think it's starting to really pay off. What storyline is most exciting to you right now? Or intriguing?
I'd say the storyline with the elves, specifically Galadriel, is probably the most intriguing part of the storyline, but the others are really interesting too. I think because Sauron's more directly involved with the elves right now, and they're the ones with the Rings of Power. So that one's a little more spicy, I think. The other ones are definitely gathering steam, and I think that they'll become more and more interesting as time goes on, but it's definitely the spotlight for me is on the elves, and I think that's how they designed it.
Yes, I would agree, and it's going to be fun to see how all the side stories start to twist into the main story as time goes on. And we just did a series on The Acolyte, which was a very divisive show in the Star Wars world. And one of the complaints from the hardcore Star Wars people was that The Acolyte was pitched as a Sith-centric show. And as I've watched Rings of Power, I'm going, wow, this is what The Acolyte could have looked like, because there is a lot of screen time for Sauron, which is kind of different for the big bad.
Right, and they're developing his character, because his character, you can see how likable his character is, but then you can also see how evil and how sneaky he is with his deception, and how he feeds on the character's ambitions and desires to weave his web of lives.
So in that, I don't remember if it was the very first episode or the second episode, but where it gave sort of that backstory that led up to the very beginning of Season 1, and then it jumped, past Season 1. Katie and I both went, Oh, like out loud when we realized what that was all about. And when we realized that that was like kind of a prequel to season one, I would love to know how many people out there did the exact same thing.
And I actually just said he weaved a web of lies, but that's not true. Sauron's deception was different. It was almost like a veil.
Yeah.
His deception was more like a veil than a web of lies. He didn't really like lie specifically. He just like deceived with his own ambitions and he like manipulated. I guess deception and manipulation. He really like veiled who he was and what he was doing, but then he also manipulated the characters very well. So
Almost like a mirror maze at a county fair.
yeah, I guess.
He reflected people back what they wanted to see.
But then he also kind of like directed them in what way he wanted them to go using their own ambition.
Right, which is a great segue because one of the themes that we were talking about is ambition, which ambition in and of itself isn't a bad thing. You need ambition to get really anything done or have any kind of vision, for your life. But it definitely has a dark side and can go too far.
Well, and you can see how easy it is to manipulate and kind of deceive yourself when you are blinded by ambition, when all else kind of fades away and ambition, the thing that you're driving at, is truly the most important thing. And he seems to come in right at the right time when they're like tasting the victory of it. And so that he can like direct it and manipulate it in his own favor.
One thing I have to give Sauron credit for is he's kind of gritty, because it even shows how several times he lost, but he just kept clawing his way back.
I wouldn't even say clawing. It was more like gooping his way back.
They need to do a crossover with the Marvel Universe and show that Sauron is actually just Venom.
For real. He's very similar in goopiness.
And then, like you mentioned, when you get to that point in your life or in your mental state where you're so overly focused on your own ambitions, it does create a lot of blind spots, which opens the door for deception, both deceiving oneself and to be manipulated by other people who can recognize what you want and can use it for their own advantage. And we were sort of brainstorming ways to temper those ambitions in our own lives.
A way for me that's helped is to remember the value of people and remember the reason for doing things, but also just that bigger picture, that recognition that I have a role in this wonderful thing called life, but also there is a whole wide world with lots of people, with lots of opinions and ideas and values and goals. And then when you bring all that in the realm of eternity and what eternity means, it's an easy way to be like, allow yourself some space for humility, and which can really temper ambition, I think.
There can be some pretty sweet rewards when we actually do temper our ambitions.
Extremely rewarding, and also almost release a little bit of pressure. I know for myself, when I'm like really focused on something and driven towards something, there's like this tension or pressure towards it. And then taking that step back kind of helps alleviate the tension or the pressure. Still going for what I need to go for, what I think is right, but putting it in its proper place in life can alleviate some of that stress.
One theme throughout the Tolkien books is the exaltation of the humble, I think, especially with the hobbits. The hobbits are these characters that are just very grounded and kind of simple, but they're not overly ambitious. And it's almost like they're chosen to thwart the mighty. And it's really a great theme and makes me smile just thinking about it. And so the Harfoots, they add a nice...
wholesomeness.
Yes.
And a little layer of fun, too.
And it seems like Nori, who's our main Harfoot character, her ambition is really to help the stranger. And she almost feels like this calling within herself to help him discover his purpose, because she feels like he's someone great who could do really good things in this world, but he just needs a little help. The Harfoots do add some humor and some levity to the show, but I think there's also something deeper going on. There are spiritual undertones everywhere in Tolkien's work. And in Tolkien, goodness is shown not just as something nice or cute, but as something strong and even something spiritual. And I think we really see that idea, that strong goodness or that strong humility in Jesus. He's like the ultimate example of someone who was humble and yet completely changed the world and gave us a new way to see things and a new way to connect to God. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share the show. If you need someone to talk with you, pray with you, don't hesitate to reach out through our website or our email. That's nerdyfolks.com is the website, or info@nerdyfolks.com. And if you are in the Twin Cities metro area, I will be at Twin Cities Convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota, November 8th through the 10th. This year, I will be volunteering, so you'll find me hanging out at the celebrity area where people are getting signatures. And in case you didn't realize, Ian McDermott, who played Emperor Palpatine, and Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker, are the big guests. And there are tons of guests at the convention, so if you are in the area, come on down. I would love to see you, and you'd have a fun time.
Ah, yeah!
So till next time, love you, take care, God bless, and bye-bye.